Why is active learning so important in the fourth industrial revolution? My name is Dr. Edward C., and I'm the Vice President of Strategy and Content for NUITEQ. We are a software partner that works very closely with CleverTouch. But I also want to talk a little bit about myself. So the first thing you need to know is that I'm a Canadian. And as many of you may already know, Harry and Meghan came to Canada, and what you got in exchange for them was me. Probably not a fair exchange, I know. And a lot of the discussion around Brexit has actually been related to things such as immigration. But if we look even deeper, what it relates to is financial situation. We are in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution, where data and computing is transforming the world of work. And as a result, many jobs are disappearing. In the education space, we have a number of educators who are very concerned even about their wages. This is a protest from Norwich, some of which you may have heard of before. And they said these are some of the worst cuts to education since the 1970s. And this isn't just in the UK. This is around the world. There is a general concern that educators aren't being paid enough, and I would agree. And I think what I'm hoping today, we'll see the connection between jobs and what we're doing in schools. Globally, the skills required to perform a job are going to shift by 42%. By 2022. Let's pretend today, 2020, you're teaching 100% of the skills that are needed. In just 2 years, more than 40% of those skills will need to be retrained. Over 54% of employees are going to require some significant upskilling. And what do we mean by significant? Is generally 36 are going to require between 0 and 6 months. 9% are going to require from 6 to 12 months of retraining, and 10% are going to require over a year of retraining. And this is why it is so critical right now to build the skills that we need for the future. The first industrial revolution is referred to as the use of steam power in order to mechanize production. The second industrial revolution is the use of electricity to create this kind of mass production that we have in our society. The third industrial revolution is focused around the use of computers and software and electronics in order to automate some aspects of production. So you might be wondering, well, what's the difference between the third and the fourth? They sound like the same, right? Well, actually, it turns out that the fourth industrial revolution is focused on the presence of infinite computing power, infinite storage, to use data to revolutionize or disrupt existing industries. Examples would include, if you go to McDonald's, you're generally not being served by a person. You're probably going up to a touchscreen like this. And a lot of teachers wonder, okay, couldn't we just put a TV, into our classrooms? You could. However, if you look at what's happening in our industry, touch screens are the method by which most automation is happening. This is the new reality, right? If you go to Waitrose, for example, it's mostly a touch screen. Administrative, clerical staff, so hotel administration is being replaced by an app, right? So it's not about owning a bunch of properties anymore, it's about having the data. In the retail space, at least in America, 30% of malls are closing. They're closing down because of online shopping. Another area that's going to be affected a lot is transportation. Transportation, a large number of people drive lorries, trucks to move goods around. Some of you may have seen this already, the auto self-driving truck. What this means is that globally there's the increasing demand for workers with experience in 85% are looking at really moving into big data analytics. 75 are looking to do something with mobile, either apps or web-enabled markets. And another 73% are moving towards AI and machine learning. Well, if you can think in the fourth industrial revolution, the types of jobs that are being created are the startup type. They are the entrepreneurs. And so what skills do you need in order to become an entrepreneur? Well, we used to have the 4C. So creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication. And I still feel for entrepreneurship, you can't really have entrepreneurship without those minimum. However, the thing that has changed is that we've also added citizenship. You know, we heard from the World Economic Forum, Greta Thunberg saying the world is on fire. You know, like things are really bad right now because of the environment. We need to be aware of that stuff. And the second is resilience. And it's connected to the 6C, which is the character. And what we mean by character is really social media is having a big impact on our own mental state. It's affecting a lot of our students as well. 13 is the age which you become an adult on the internet. Pretty much you can get every social media, and so as a result they start comparing each other, right? And so that sense of resilience, grit, if you haven't built that early on, you're in a lot of trouble. If we had more people coming out with these types of skills, we would have more entrepreneurs, we would have more jobs, we would have a stronger economy. And then ultimately, we would have the resources to pay our teachers properly. As somebody who's worked in technology for over 10 years, I used to think, oh man, I'm going to invent this cool new technology, it's going to change education. But what I've learned is that actually technology doesn't change people. People change people. And so the most important individual is the teachers right here. You'll have the most impact on schools, on students. And so that's why I feel a lot of my work has changed to speaking with the people who influence education, like yourselves. If you're looking at the literature, don't look at a single case study. A single case study can be biased, it could be not repeatable. There's all sorts of problems with a single case study. If you look at the What Works Clearinghouse, what they do is they take a meta view of the research. So they look at all the educational research that is out there, and they do an analysis of the rigor of those studies to find out which ones actually improve grades, which ones improve engagement, and which ones improve course completion. The first one seems fairly intuitive. We need to increase engagement, belonging, and interaction among students. And what does this mean, right? So again, in terms of the results, we know that if you do this, you've got 2 studies that already show significantly improved grades, 1 study that shows significantly improved engagement, and 1 study that shows significantly improved course completion. And this is really simple. It could be just, maybe people are using a social media platform or they're using some kind of online platform to get engaged. How many of you have used like blended learning or flipped classroom type stuff? Okay, a few, okay, awesome. So lots of studies back this one up, all right? So there's at least 6 studies that show significantly improved grades when you are using a blended learning type method. So if you're watching the videos at home, maybe doing a few activities, and then in class you're mostly focused on activities, that really does help. And so if you look at our software, one of the things that we focus on a lot is how to make this really easy. So when I think about the software, I think about there's 2 different types of interfaces, one called a natural user interface and the other is the WIMP, or the Windows Icon Menu Pointers interface. An interface that's more like your phone is going to be easier for most teachers. It's going to require a lot less training. And so our approach has been mostly to support the blended learning approach. So if you're doing blended learning, I want to learn about the 4th Industrial Revolution. I push the content, the icon for the 4th Industrial Revolution. It loads up a video. Maybe I'll make this full screen, right? And so it shows the video. What is the first? What is the second? You watch those. And then most of the class is then spent not on content delivery, but on asking the questions. Who should decide what technology should be developed and why? Should it be government? that decides what technology is developed? Should it be industry that decides what technology is developed? Or should it be the researchers that determine what technology is developed? In addition to the video, we often want to have like basic instructions, like how to use it. We try to align to specific curriculum standards. So for example, in the UK, the national curriculum, we have a lot of content specifically aligned to those standards. And to me, if the technology does not save time, it's not, what's the point, right? Like it has to save time. The time is a very valuable resource. Most teachers are spending their evenings and weekends building content. So we have I as the VP of Strategy and Content, I have a team of teachers that work with us to build content specifically for the platform. And we want them to also be teachers as well, because many of them are creating these content, so they're getting paid, but they're also bringing it back to the classroom to try to make sure that it actually works in the classroom. And so they're refining their techniques based on real world data. In some cases, you want to actually have this display. You can actually, we have like motorized stands that these things work with. You push a button and you'll see the display actually tilt to a like design table perspective. So you have two different personal spaces for two different kids. Maybe they're using it for a collaboration, and they can take information from one of the bottom displays and then move it up to the top. So you have a group collage, for example, that multiple learners can use at the same time. And I think this is really important. Most of the time when people have displays, they install them on the wall and they can only be used for one thing, which is presentation, right? But a display is so much more. If you look at how displays are used in practice, they are often used for multiple purposes, and time and space may be very limited in classrooms. So this allows it to be used as a drafting table. I pushed another button. It's one button. It loads up the apps, like it saves all the apps, it puts it horizontal for you, it changes the orientation of the display, it does everything for you. So that's one of the objectives, is just being able to do more with the same space that you have. Is this phrase by Shakespeare, or is it in a pop song? So the first question is, same old empty feeling in your heart, love comes slow and it goes fast. How many think Shakespeare? You? How many think pop song? Okay, let's see. I think pop song won. Yay! Pop song! Alright. So a lesson activity like this, how many think that it would take half an hour to do? Half an hour? Anybody? How many think 20 minutes? No? Anybody? 5 minutes? Yeah? Probably like around 1 minute. If I show you how this lesson is created, maybe you'll get a perspective. Literally, this entire example is just text. So it's, you type in the question, you push the two answers, enter, and you move on to the next question. It's like the simplest thing. Like you could literally do this in like 60 seconds if you already have the content. Searching a YouTube video, we have the ability to add a YouTube video, and you don't have to watch the whole video. Like I try not to play a whole video, it's too long. I do a start point and an end point, so it just plays maybe the minute that's actually educational, right? Because you maybe don't want to play the whole thing. It's very quick. In addition, I can specify which age group, of course I can specify the subject, country, and I can also add links. So I might have other content. I might have stuff on my Google Drive, a Google Doc. I might have a PDF. In a lot of these cases, we have worksheets that go for the whole class. You know, you just take this and you print out the worksheet, and now the whole class has an activity, right? So we don't have to just use the digital. And of course, if you want, you can add standards, curriculum standards directly in here. English, maybe Key Stage 2, I don't know, and then let's say this one. So I can add a couple different standards to it so that later, as a teacher, I can search by the standard. And I think this is really important. Like, content that isn't aligned to the standard saves you no time. You might as well just go and find a YouTube video, because you're going to have to do all the work anyways. That's all they are. They're just like templates that you can run on any device. So any mobile device, you can browse, you can find lessons, you can play them right on any phone. And the key here is not to have to install any app. If you have to install an app, a lot of students do not have access to the accounts to install, so you're done. So it's very important that you can play everything off of your phone, just off a web browser. So if you have a web browser, you can use this, like you're good to go. So it's important for teachers to be able to create lessons on their mobile devices as well. So here they can just type in, with their keyboard, they can add images from their camera roll, they can record their voice and have it included in the lesson just off of their mobile phone. Really, really important. In fact, we have corporations who are using this for training. They will actually check whether or not people have met the compliance, the HR standards, for example, that are required every year, and they see whether or not the students have completed it. Live polling, we can quickly send out a poll to the entire class. These are all really, really important to be able to do if you want to engage people with the devices that are already there. My son does Taekwondo, and one of the things I love about Taekwondo is I can always ask the instructor, okay, what does he need to do in order to get to the next level of his belt? And one of the things that he'll say is like, oh, he needs to work on his kicks. Great. Then we can go home and we can keep practicing that. But if I don't have that targeted feedback, I have no idea what to work on. I could be ended up doing like board breaking or something with my kid and just not learn the things that he needs to learn. So targeted feedback is key. Active learning, to me, no matter how you do it, is the key to connecting the work that you do as an educator to jobs, to the future jobs that we so desperately need in the fourth industrial revolution.